As you hear the bell, just gather your thoughts and also pay attention to the sound disappearing gradually. So now you may gently close your eyes if they are not closed, or you may keep them downward and bring your body to a resting position. And you bring your body to a resting position, you notice your awareness catching on to things, especially the sounds, events that your mind brings to this moment from the past and from the future. And if you have practiced some meditation before, your attention may also go to your breath. So that is perhaps a habit that you may have developed. Whatever you notice, they come and they go. The most important thing is you remain like an observer, seeing all these experiences and not feeding any of them, any of those. Feel free to move mindfully. Feel free to cough. Feel free to adjust in any way you like. Maybe take a deep breath in. Notice your shoulders going up, and you may drop your shoulders as you breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. You feel like scanning your body from the top of your head down to your toes, to the soles of your feet, noticing any discomfort, agitations, and moving away from them or sending loving kindness to each and every part where it is needing your loving kindness. And perhaps a little bit of compassion to Feel free to do so. Notice your skin. Imagine that it is touching some healing at this meditation session, emitting good energies into the room. Notice what comes to your attention now. Perhaps your breath again. So we stay present with the feeling of breath going in and the breath coming out. Transcend to a deeper level. I will ring the bell again. Just like we did not hold on to the disappearing sound of the gong, we will drop anything that takes our attention right now. Generously letting go of those feelings, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Also dropping the brain's activity, sending signals to seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, physical contacts in your skin, and thinking. Except when you hear these instructions, you stay present. Now you are present with your breath. Once again, because the breath is happening now, not in the past, not in the future. Whenever you feel distracted, you come back to your breath and stay present, making your breath a delightful experience, something that your mind likes to stay with. Perhaps investigating more of the details of it, noticing its changes, and widening your scope of awareness, focus to your breath. As you begin to stay resting with your breath, resting in your awareness, notice things disappear from your attention. They feel far away from you. Sounds, basically the strongest active sense door, feels like those are disappearing from your attention. Well, there is no need to react or find details proliferate based on what you feel here. Embrace them, welcome them if they are persisting in your present experience. No controlling, just allowing things to be, letting things become, letting things come, letting things go. Allow the membrane that surrounds your brain also to relax and cool down, immersing in that coolness so your nervous system also begins to cool down with a sense of well-being, creating more room to manifest spaciousness, tranquility, and peacefulness. Things you could have otherwise reacted that your mind may feed into are just neutral feelings, informed by ignorance, perhaps craving too, and delusion. So to deconstruct these formations, we stay with the reality of experiences arising and passing away. There is no experiencer. It's not I, me, myself making. Just things, stuff. In those lines, you may keep your work field and scope of awareness. I will ring the bell again for you to go deeper on your own until you hear the concluding bell in a couple of minutes. Feel free to come out of your meditation. So now is the story time. This is a story that has taught me many times since I learned it in my childhood. This is a Jataka tale. You know what a Jataka tale means? It's a story from the previous life of the Buddha, and this is called the Sattigumbha Jātaka. And so Sattigumbha has a meaning, bristling spears, like weapons, like swords that are bristling. And so the Buddha has, in different occasions, taught different stories like this, relating it to a present story, an incident that may have happened in his life, and wanting to teach something, and also to show a pattern of life of this person who's who's also kind of having similar tendencies in their present life. So this story is related to Devadatta. He is the cousin of the Buddha. He had this weird intention of wanting to be the Buddha. He thought uh, it's a it's a post title given by people to the Buddha. So he didn't want to do the homework. He didn't want to do the exams and wanted to um, proclaim that he's the Buddha. And I can see why that happened. I think he had these rival tendencies from the childhood. They played together because they were cousins. And so he perhaps knew um, the former person, Siddhartha, who was playful but also was his rival, and thought he could
beat him.
yeah, beat him,
More
and he
so.
will tolerate that, and also um, compete and perhaps knew the weaknesses like that, of weakness of being silent, more tolerating, more uh, maybe welcoming uh, bad deeds. So he thought he could easily do that. But Buddha means someone who has realized the truth. And if you have not realized it, you cannot teach it, you cannot establish Sangha, monks. So what Devadatta, uh, the name is beautiful. Deva is heavenly beings, Datta means given by heavenly beings. It's a beautiful name, but the acts he did were not given by heavenly beings. He caused bloodshed in the Buddha. He rolled this rock from I think it's called the Vulture's Peak. He knew where the Buddha was doing his walking meditation, and he climbed up and was hiding behind this boulder and managed to push it. But apparently, the story goes as that another boulder, another rock stopped it. Maybe they say it's because of the power of the Buddha, but somehow it didn't come crashing down and killing the Buddha. But a small piece broke down from it and injured, I think, the right foot of the Buddha. So monks started talking about it. But when this happened, Buddha's physician, Jivaka, Dr. Jivaka, treated the Buddha. But the Buddha used this as an opportunity to teach monks, saying, it's only not only in this lifetime, but in previous lives too, he had these cruel, heinous, evil intentions, and he had it's the same pattern that we are seeing now. And the story goes to talk about two parrot brothers. They uh, they were caught in a storm and they fell they were carried away and fell into two different locations. One brother fell into the hermits monastery, and the other one fell into the cave where bandits were living. So now you can guess the company they both received, very different. So this one time, King Panchala, this king went hunting into the forest. So he saw a deer that he wanted to hunt down, and he was chasing the deer and got lost, and he got lost closer to where the bandits were. And there was this tree, and the king and his advisor began resting under the tree. And then suddenly he heard this voice coming from a distance. And the voice began telling things like, kill, rob, take everything, have no mercy, things like that. And the king and the advisor began examining, investigating, and they found it was coming from a bird, from this parrot. So, so the bird adapted the thoughts of cruelty and chanted them repeatedly. So then, otherwise, the king and the advisor prepared to attack, thinking that this was a real enemy approaching. So they began, going to a safer place. They thought there must be some danger here, so they went to another area where there was open pasture. And then there was this other voice they heard: compassion, gratitude, humility, humbleness, restraint. Um, these in these words, um, instead of saying kill and stuff like that, he was they heard things like compassion and stuff. So, and they were so amazed, and that too was coming from another bird. That was a parrot too. So the king approached the bird and asked, where did you learn this? And the bird didn't seem startled by the presence of the king Panchala. At that moment, the parrot said, I learned this from the hermits living here, and I live with them. And the king was so pleased, and the parrot invited the king and the advisor to the hermit's monastery, hermitage, right? And the hermits welcomed the king and gave him and the advisor a resting place and water and all, so they felt safe. So and the story, usually the kids learn how uh, the message of the story that if you associate bad guys, you adapt things that bad guys teach you, and it becomes normal to you. You think that is how people, that you start to see the world through those lenses. It's like wearing shades, and you start seeing the world as a cool place. But if you associate good ones, you adopt the language of the good people. And I had that in my mind when I learned this story and many other stories, going to Dhamma school, Sunday school on Sundays, and also learning Buddhism as a subject in the school. We learned these Jataka tales, including the Sattigumbha Jātaka. So the name Sattigumbha, as I said, is bristling spears, because this parrot learned, again, was named after that Sattigumbha, because that's kind of a name that bandits would give. But the other parrot got the name Puppaka. That is, Puppaka means flowers. You are like a little flower to us. So it learned gentle qualities. And so kids start to think about um, the, the moral of the story and learn, oh, I should not spend too much time with bad guys, and instead I should spend time with the good one in the school, good whoever is focused and does not do bad things. So I also see the story also is an opportunity to teach self-control, sobriety, kindness, and truth. And when teaching kids, I especially use the five precepts that we monks teach kids and they recite all the time. Um, and the five precepts briefly include these concepts like kindness, compassion. So instead of killing and harming living beings, you choose compassion and kindness. Instead of stealing things that belong to others, you choose guarding and protecting them. Instead of engaging in sexual misconduct, you choose loving relationships, trusting relationships. Uh, Instead of telling lies, you choose to speak the truth and stand with the truth. And instead of learning to use substances, drugs, alcohol, intoxications, you learn to say no to them and advocate about harmfulness about these substances. Um, and when I teach five precepts, I usually bring um, I think it's like a metaphor. I use a car, for example. When a car is going up the hill and it definitely goes down the hill, in both occasions, it needs all the features of it. Gas is a must. Steering wheel is a must. Brake fluids is a must. And engine is a must. And whatever else, the body is the windshield, say, is important. Or side mirrors. These are like five precepts. And I tell kids, if any one of these pieces are missing, you are going to crash uh, down the hill or up the hill. So it's important that we make sure that all the pieces are together and working well, and gives you a safe ride till the end of your life, not just this one journey from grade 1 to grade 11, but beyond that to the university and even after. And I sometimes bring stories of very bright kids who, get into dental school, medical school, sometimes start using cocaine and stuff, and their life gets ruined. Um, and I also have the story of a 13-year-old girl who was introduced to something in the school just before her maths test. And her friend girls, perhaps were jealous of her performance. She was the brightest kid for maths. So she had it, but just before the maths test, and um, she was forced to have it. She said, "Okay, I will have a bit. I know it doesn't have any effect." But she dropped her guards and she had it, and she said, "I don't feel anything." And her friends encouraged her to have more. So she had more. And then she went into the test and she threw up and she started screaming and yelling at the teacher because she freaked out, and the teacher freaked out as well. And teacher ran to the principal, and and they couldn't figure out the entire story until she was off of this whatever she had. And later, when the principal asked questions from the three girls involved, the two girls betrayed her, saying she brought it to the school. You see how important good company is there too, right? And and somehow the principal learned the truth and suspended the two girls. I hope they discontinued doing that kind of thing again. But things like vaping has gone to schools. And I heard from a psychiatrist who came to this mindfulness conference. She in a private chat, she told me that vaping and throwing those plastic pieces into toilets have become a huge problem in schools. And when it is banned, they introduce non-invasive colors or shapes of it, and they too clog these toilets somehow. Kids alongside these stories need to learn how to respect the properties, the school, and the facility itself. Somehow that girl, I think she finished her school, and I'm still in touch with her, and she's on her way to becoming a nurse. So had she learned to say no on that day again in her life, as she has always done, she wouldn't have gone down that path. And but it could have ruined her life also. This is how things start to happen. So good company is always important. My dad, though, he was very strict. After school, we were not allowed to go to the village and play. If we were caught doing that, we get whooped. That's the Sri Lankan, I think, South Asian way of disciplining children. I remember jumping to the river when it was flooded. I think that was for good reasons. We jump and we swim and end up getting carried away with the current, but we somehow go to the other side and run all the way up, jump from the bridge and come down with friends who, you know, I think we were okay with the river water, but the flood could have killed us. So, and I think my father was right in all these occasions. I respect him for disciplining us and protecting us this way. Anyway, I will end here because we have the Zen group coming at 7. But before I end, do you have any questions or comments or anything to share?
No, other than we could use a few parrots talking about flying around us these days in the world about compassion and kindness. That could work.
That's so
Mm,
beautiful. Thank you, Daniel, for saying that. Yes,
yeah,
especially in areas affected by war and crime,
yeah,
lacking space for loving kindness, right? Yeah.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's always enjoyable.
Thank you too. Anything from your
Okay.
side? We will share merits in just a moment, but anything you want to share?
Well, my mind thinks of how sometimes you are the negative pair without realizing it,
Mm-hmm.
and that can just make life feel permanently dark.
Mm-hmm.
But just knowing that, like, simply moving to the other camp and then allowing enough time for your mind to reset as the parrot
Yeah.
loses the old ways,
Yeah.
and then relearns the new ones.
Absolutely.
Sometimes when you get back in a negative place with like depression or anxiety or something like that, just simply knowing that it's like, hey, I can actually shift out of this
Right.
can be helpful.
Absolutely. Um, I think not identifying with these past experiences and then avoiding triggers, right? And for that, having a safe environment that you choose to live, where you are safe, welcomed, and also deep inside you have the wisdom that um, whatever happened in the past it just happened, and suffering with it is optional, right? And
Yep.
life continues, and we embrace the good company or good environment and continue facing it really, creating positive energies, positive moments, um, and embracing whatever comes your way. You know, whatever will be, will be. But again, you are on the safe side, you are on the good company side, and you are the good parrot too. Right. Right, shall we wrap up?
Okay.
Okay. Let's share
Have a good week, folks.
You too. May the suffering ones be suffering free, and the fear-struck fearless be. May the grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and nagas of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect us, protect the Buddha's teachings. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Good night.